Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I had a lot of people that got really angry at me about my sound yesterday. And so what I did, and I would like to give a shout out to Cryptopolis. Cryptopolis he has a microphone just like mine, and he showed me the settings on his microphone. He sent me a picture of them. That's what I need, is a literal picture of the settings so that I can change the settings of my microphone and get it right. And so I tested this before I started this video, and we should be in good shape. But as you know, the sound and tech issues on this channel have become a staple for the channel. And so sometimes, even though it makes people angry, I think that some people tune in at times to see what sound or lack thereof they'll hear next. but I can promise you that it's always a work in progress. It's not because I'm ignoring you or anything like that. I try to fix it if the problem happens. So anyway, I wanted to mention that my Auburn Tigers have no offense. They lost to Georgia yesterday, and that's terrible. It was hard to watch. It's always hard to watch when your team has a good defense, but they can't score no matter what they do. But enough of that. I'm tired of talking about the Auburn Tigers. This was not their year. But we could upset Alabama next week, and that would make it all okay. All right, I got this from Coining 203. He sent me, and he sent me some of his favorite coffee, and I really appreciate that. This guy's a good guy. But anyway, sent me some coffee. Anybody that sends me coffee is deserving of a major shout out, because coffee is my favorite thing in the world. Okay. But he sent me this. Now, I had shown you this tweet the other day. This is a tweet I think I sent out on Friday about how I know a man in my town who had been buying waterfront property on the cheap when nobody wanted it when I was growing up, and now he's one of the wealthiest men in town. That's a true story. Now, David, and I had shown you that David Schwartz had replied to it. You're just in time to buy soon-to-be waterfront property all over the country. Now, my initial interpretation of that was that he's in his own way saying that XRP is an opportunity. I'm not sure. It hasn't been clarified yet. But this tweet was sent out again by Ian Northing. He says, just a little reminder for all you guys. Now, that was my initial interpretation, and maybe because since we're in the XRP community, we immediately want to hope that somebody's saying something really positive. But there are others that interpreted it a different way, and Mr. B was one of them that was trying to figure it out. He says, hey, David, did you mean that you believe many homeowners will be underwater in their homes? Was this a statement on global warming or even something else? Thank you, sir. Well, I believe that, and I talked to Mr. B about this, I believe that David Schwartz kind of likes to put things out there that are worded in such a way that gets people talking like this. And so he may have meant several things. Who knows? And maybe he'll respond to Mr. B. Who knows? But in any event, it's part of what keeps all of this interesting for all of us, is that we get to talk about things like this. And that is what it's all about. Okay. So, and then David Schwartz, remember yesterday, there was also a tweet where he was getting on his plane to leave Japan, and he said they had to turn the plane off to reset it, something having to do with the battery. And I was talking about how nervous that made me. Well, apparently they got stuck in Japan for a little longer. He says, bad news, still stuck in Japan. Good news, okonomiyaki Japanese pizza lunch. That looks pretty good, whatever it is. I've never seen that before. Is that eggs on top? It looks like maybe bread and sauce, and I don't see the cheese, but whatever that is looks like something worthy of trying. So anyway, so David Schwartz, I'd rather be stuck in Japan than get on a plane with a messed up battery that goes out when I'm 20,000 feet up. Okay, we talked yesterday about how Ethan Beard was doing an interview with Abra, I believe it was. Well, here are some of the quotes from the interview. I don't think there were any yesterday. This is from Ethan Beard. And it really, for those of you that don't, especially those of you that don't understand that XRP is a digital asset, Ripple is a company that is working on the payments and settlement use case with banks and payment companies and central banks around the world. It's the biggest use case probably, but they also created Xpring, which is run by Ethan Beard. Well, Xpring is for the purpose of creating new companies or funding companies that either do or will potentially use XRP, which is a genius plan because it gives you not only a use case for XRP and Ripple, but you have other use cases that are being worked on and hatched into the future. And that's why XRP, one of the reasons that XRP is the one, and that I've always said that. Okay, so Ethan Beard, this is his quotes. I think one way to think about what we're building is we have almost a top-down strategy that is working directly with financial institutions, providing them enterprise software that's already customized for their world and lets them tap into the power of XRP. Then we have a kind of bottoms-up strategy where we're looking just at starting with XRP and other cryptocurrency and then focusing on developers and letting them integrate XRP and integrate cryptocurrency into their applications. It seems to me that at some point they meet. How and where they meet is kind of unclear. It's not crazy to think that the vast majority of money should be in some way moving over cryptocurrency, somewhere in the payment stack. And where that meets will be interesting to see. And then he says, we spent the first year really trying, he's talking about with Xpring, spent the first year really trying to get a lay of the land, trying to understand how can we work with all these companies, what's going on out there, and some of our investing was very specifically in companies that are directly using XRP. Some of it was also just investing in amazing teams that are working in interesting areas that we find fascinating and teams that we want to be able to work with in the future. And see, this is what makes XRP doubly exciting, to have the greatest team and the greatest use case in what Ripple's doing, and for these guys to be smart enough to create Xpring and then create the University Block Initiative so that companies and students are hatching ideas to be used where XRP can be used with all sorts of future uses in down the road. That is what's exciting. And that's what makes the investment twice as interesting as anything else out there in the digital asset space. Now, this is from SPQR Media. These guys occasionally put out very in-depth videos where they do deep dives, and so they made me aware of one. I have not watched it yet. I'm going to watch it, but I don't have to see it without knowing that these guys do such a good job that we all need to watch it. So you can follow them at SPQRLEE, and then their video is right here. Hold on. Video is XRP Bank of America Deep Dive at SPQR Media, and then you can subscribe. I thought I was already subscribed to them. Well, now I am. I think they may have more than one channel because I'm pretty sure I was subscribed to those guys. All right, let me get rid of that. All right, and then the next thing is this. Now, one thing that I have learned in this space is that every time the market seems to be down for XRP, someone starts cranking out the FUD articles to try to kick XRP while it's down. Well, when that happens, you begin to see articles about how Jed McCaleb is dumping his XRP and these types of things. Well, once again, I think this article, let me check here the date of this article. Yeah. So this comes out 2 hours ago, never fails. It's always like clockwork. Well, XRP Dave at the Davey92, 4.5 billion sold. I'm posting this as a good thing rather than a bad thing. If this is done and dusted within 2 to 3 years, of a lot of selling pressure will be lifted. Well, here's the thing. This article is presented as if right now, as we are speaking, Jed McCaleb is once again selling his XRP. I did not read this article to say that at all. In fact, this article is talking about the culmination of the 2017 bull run gave rise to this. And then it says Jed McCaleb's exit in 2013. And then it's featuring a tweet by Leonidas, which is right here. Now, Leonidas, of course, is not trying to start any kind of XRP FUD. He's one of the good guys. But he had tweeted this, and it's almost like his tweet. Let's read his tweet. These are the XRP sent from this. This is the wallet that sells Jed's XRP. When the XRP gets there, they always get sold. So this is the amount of Jed's XRP being sold compared to the daily coin market cap volume. Well, if you look, the last time that it was sold was back in October. And so he's presenting some information that's from back in October. And then this article gets written almost as if Jed McCaleb is now selling his XRP like right now. And it just happens to be when the market's down. So I think this was presented in the wrong way. And it's not Leonidas's fault. He was just sending out an informational tweet. But I think they picked it up and turned it into something that it's not. But what you need to know is that I think Jed McCaleb can only sell, and Ripple actually releases the XRP, and he can only sell in a controlled amount. And I think he's got 4.5 billion left, is what I read. Okay, Digital Asset Observer, @_crypto crazy _ I don't know where that came from because I don't think he sent me this, but anyway, I think John Kevin Muse sent me this. I forgot to show you this yesterday. Iranian protesters set fire to the central bank of Iran in the city of Bebahan, Khuzestan province, in demonstrations against the government's decision to ration hike the price of petrol. Now, we all know what is going to happen here as a result of this. They will bring out, as Brad Garlinghouse said, they will bring out the tanks because they're not going to let the people take over their financial system. The government will come out and put bullets in people before they let that happen. This is the reason that Brad Garlinghouse gave for the Bitcoin versus XRP debate. You're not going to take over governments, and the governments are not going to let you, before they let you take over the monetary system with Bitcoin, they're going to bring out the tanks. And that is why XRP has always been the smart play and the way to go as far as all this goes. And so that's why I've always thought it was so silly, this whole revolutionary anarchy idea of Bitcoin. And that's not coming from a person who's in love with the government, trust me. XRP Crypto Wolf, Facebook's Libra. This was interesting to me because, we saw Congress just bash Facebook and the whole Libra idea. Well, guess what? Libra's not going anywhere. This is what XRP Crypto Wolf sent me. Facebook's Libra has registered over 51,000 transactions and developed 34 projects on the testnet. The Libra Association released a developer update saying that Facebook's cryptocurrency project has been running for 5 months and growing strong. And then there was this. With a mobile phone this is from Calibra, which is the Libra wallet. With a mobile phone and access to the internet, Calibra and the Libra network hope to give more people access to the global economy. Learn more. So in other words, they're not going anywhere, folks. This thing is gonna happen one way or another, and it will be fascinating to watch how Facebook handles this. Okay, Stewart XRP, 4th largest bank in Saudi Arabia, Samba Financial. If you look at the top 4 banks in Saudi, they are our customers. Naveen Gupta, 2019, and this is apparently one of the financial reports from Samba that mentions RippleNet. But this is the part that was interesting to me. If you look at the top 4 banks in Saudi, they are our customers. That's a pretty good place to be. And then finally, I forgot to mention this as well. And this is important because every time we see XRP get paired with a new fiat currency, that is a good thing because that's more liquidity into the system. From Cryptopolis, Turkish users are now able to exchange lira for Bitcoin, Ether, and XRP through their Papara digital wallets. And I think this is, yes, Binance has support for Turkish lira. That is big time. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button and tell your friends and family that now Binance has trading pairs with the Turkish lira for XRP. Thank you for listening.